Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the CHOFETZ CHAIM, where he's talking about the laws of speaking Lashon Hara about a Rasha, about a wicked person. The Rabbi say, our sages have taught us in the Gemara. It says in the Torah, Laisainu ishas amisai. A man is not allowed to cause distress la'amisai, to his fellow Jew, someone that is his that is acting like him as a Jew. That means someone that is keeping Torah and keeping mitzvahs. She'itcha b'Torah uve mitzvahs. That is the nation that is together with you in Torah and of mitzvahs. That means a religious person who is keeping mitzvahs in the right way. Al teinei b'dvarim. You cannot distress him with words, meaning you have to be very careful not to speak Lashon Hara about him. However, when you have someone who doesn't pay attention to the words of Hashem, and that means that he's going away from Torah and of mitzvahs, then you're allowed to humiliate him and embarrass him when he does sinful, wrong things. And you can even inform other people about the ta'evos, about the abominable things that he does. And you can even pour out the booze, the scorn upon him. Furthermore, Chazal tell us, we expose people that are hypocrites, meaning people that sin, and they pose to be righteous in public, so that everybody will think the big tzaddikim. We're allowed to expose them in order to prevent chil Hashem. Because since that this person really is a sinner, he's not really the big tzaddik that he wants everybody to think. People are going to look at him as a tzaddik, then they're going to see him go and do erroneous behavior and sinful things, and they're going to say, wait a second, I thought he was a tzaddik. Now it makes it look like a chil Hashem, that tzaddikim are chaytim, that they do sins. And therefore, if you know that this person is hypocritical in the way that he behaves, he gives off a persona in public that he's a righteous man, but in reality you know that he's really in private chambers, he sins and does terrible things, you're allowed to expose that to avoid future chil Hashem. The kol shekid al morsim if you gave him rebuke and you told him, I caught you doing this and I see you doing that, and you're being lax in this area of your mitzvah observance and that one, and he doesn't do tshuva, the mutter lefarsama, then you're allowed to expose him. And you can even reveal his sins in a public fashion. Like we said before, you can pour scorn and disgrace upon him. Your hope is, of course, that when you're doing all of this, the embarrassment of revealing his sins, degrading him and the like, is that he's going to return to a good path and do tshuva and repent. Like the Rambam himself writes in his masterpiece, that in fact a person is allowed to do such things in order to try to get him to do tshuva. Now, according to all of this, it would sound like in the CHOFETZ CHAIM, you find a person that's a Rasha, you find a person that doesn't listen, you find a person who continues to do the wrong thing, just go ahead, just reveal it to the whole world. However, but you still have to be careful, says the CHOFETZ CHAIM. Even when you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara about a Rasha, don't forget several details that must be in place before you actually condemn such a person. If you look in the Be'er Mayim Chaim, his commentary on the bottom of the page, you will see he speaks about it. And these are 5 different conditions that must be met. Number 1, if you're going to tell Lashon Hara, you have to have personally witnessed the transgression that he did. You cannot base your awareness of his sin on second-hand information. Number 2, it must be clear that when this person acted in the wrong way, it was clearly an avera, a transgression that he was doing. Number 3, when you're telling over the words of Lashon Hara, you cannot exaggerate in any way at all. Number 4, when you are telling over the Lashon Hara, the whole reason you're doing it is because you intend to publicize so that people will, his sins, so that people will stay away from him and realize that he's a bad influence, and perhaps even, and as important and more importantly, that you'll try to awaken and motivate this person to do tshuva. And number 5, that is that the speaker, the one who's telling over the lashon hara, you cannot act nicely to this sinner when you're in his presence and then privately end up shaming him and disgracing him. You have to be very consistent in the way that you treat him. If you believe that he's a sinner and you fulfill all these other details, conditions that you need, then you have to look at him as a sinner, talk to him as a sinner. Of course, you have to try to get him to do the tshuva, but if you're going to reveal it, then you can't act in one way as a flatterer and the other way condemn him. He must know your true colors as well. Have a wonderful day.